Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Okay. Hey everybody, it's your favorite hijab bae. Ha, get it, hijab bae. I just wanted to make this video, one, because I'm in quarantine and I'm bored, and two, because I just wanted to explain how I met my husband and how and pretty much my experience on Muslim partner sites. And I say partner sites because it depends on your objective on those sites. So for example, I met a lot of people on these Muslim partner sites who were looking for a girlfriend, who were looking for a fling, who were looking for marriage. So like, I don't want to say Muslim marriage sites or Muslim dating sites, because really it depends on the type of person you are and what your objective is with the sites. So I wanted to talk, for me personally, I was looking for a husband. So for me, it was a Muslim marriage site. And the two main Muslim marriage sites that I used were Minder and Muzmatch. Those are the two main Muslim marriage sites that I was using. And I started using them at around 24. So 24 was the age where everybody was kind of getting on me to find somebody. They're like, okay, you need to get it together. You're getting older now and you need to find somebody. Now, if you guys are not Arab, if you're not Muslim, if you're not brown, you won't understand, because you'll be like, oh, 24 is mad young. I get that all the time. But for people in my culture, my religion, yeah, 24 is not young. Okay, I was getting there. So pretty much at 24, I started getting pressure from my parents, to, especially my mother, to find somebody to get married to. And I'm like, okay, you know what, like, let me see what's out there. I'm not a very social person. I didn't really at the time know many Muslim people. So for me, I decided to download these Muslim marriage apps, which were, again, Minder and Muzmatch. And the experiences on both were pretty much the same. Now, the biggest problem for me was at 24, I didn't really know what I wanted within myself and within a relationship with somebody or a partner. I didn't really know fully. I just knew that eventually I wanted to get married. So at 24, I didn't really know what I wanted within myself and within a partner, within a relationship. I just knew down the line I wanted to get married. So that was the biggest problem with my experience at 24. Now, I was on these sites from 24 to 27, so 3 years, yo. I'm an English teacher, not a math teacher, okay? That was bad. Shh, be quiet. All right, so I didn't really know what I wanted. I didn't really know what I wanted, and that was the biggest problem. And a lot of people, like, in my experience, a lot of people pretty much, like, were either very, very, like, into what they wanted, or they were also like me, where they didn't know what they wanted. If I were to give anybody any kind of advice, I would say know what you want and communicate your expectations to the person that you're speaking with. At the time at 24, I didn't really know that. I had to learn that with experience on these apps. I had to learn that, like, I needed to be assertive with what I wanted, because I was finding that I was kind of like wasting my time with a lot of people. A lot of people were kind of like stringing me along, like, I want to date you, and I wasn't at the dating. I'm not the type of person to like date somebody. And at that time, I really wanted to find somebody who I wanted to settle down with, and I didn't want to date. I wanted to be like, nah, I want to be like seriously committed to kind of like a marriage situation. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, when you date somebody, you see if they are marriage material, this and this. Yeah, but in my religion and in the culture that I grew up to be in, That sentence wasn't good, but you get what I'm trying to say. I was pretty much taught that the American standard of dating just led to wasting time and just led to more of a chance of a heartbreak. So the way it worked for me was, yeah, I would talk to these people for a long time, and for a long time I would say like a month or 2 months. You guys might not say that's a long time. You might be like, that's a short time. But for me, it was like trying to get to know that person, asking questions. So the biggest thing, and I'm sorry if I'm jumping around, the biggest difference between American dating or conventional dating and like looking for a spouse, Muslim kind of a situation, is that with dating, you kind of like wanna, with conventional dating, from what I've seen, is that you tiptoe around this stuff. You kind of like spend a lot of time together. You don't ask questions about like the future for too much. And correct me guys if I'm wrong, but this is what I've seen. Like you know, you move in together, you do this together and that together. But for Muslim, I'm gonna call it situationships. For Muslim situationships, you pretty much, what I've learned is that you pretty much put everything on the table. Like, hey, okay, we could talk about favorite color, favorite movie later, but what are you here for? Are you trying to get married? Okay, me too. How much do you make? What's your job? Can you provide for a family? What are you looking for in a wife? Do you want her to stay home? Do you care if she works? How do you look at religion in a household? How important is that? How many kids do you want? So as you can see, it's like straight from the bat, like boom, boom, boom. Let me see if our initial thoughts, our initial morals, way of life kind of connects. And I had to, again, I didn't know that at 24. At 24, I was being cute, like, oh, what's your favorite color? Mine's green. Ha. My favorite movie, Dark Knight. I love anime. You know, so I was like that in the beginning, and I found, and I'm not saying that's wrong. Like, again, if you're the type of person to like that and want that and want to go slow, then 100% do that. Do that, 100% do that. But what I was learning was that I was being put into situations where I was kind of like wasting time. And again, just think of my situation, that I was kind of being like rushed by my family. Like, you're 24. My sister, she's younger than me. She was already married. So I'm like, ooh, you know, like a lot of things were happening, a lot of pressure. So I didn't, it was very exhausting for me, because I would be getting to know people, liking people a lot, and then realizing that they weren't on the same expectation. They didn't have the same expectations as I did. So for example, say I wanted to get married within the year, right? But they would be like, yeah, I want to get married in 5 years or 4 years, or like, I don't know when I want to get married. I just want to talk to you, and when it's natural, we'll get to that level. And again, if that's what you like, that's completely fine. But for me, and how I saw relationships and life and like what I wanted, it just didn't fit. So I found myself talking with people and being in situations where I'll be like, yeah, it's not gonna work because you don't have the same kind of mentality as I do. And I'm not gonna sit here and wait 5 years for you to propose to me. Like, my family is not the type of family to be like, oh, you're talking to this guy for 5 years? Yeah, that's cute. Oh, yeah, bring him up. No. If they found out that I was talking to somebody who did not want to get married, who wanted to wait 5 years, they'll be like, pause, rewind, delete, no, on to the next. So it just wasn't, it wasn't a good situation for me. So it was either that, or I would also find on the other end of the spectrum people who were extremely religious, who did not really appreciate my place. Let me think if there's a better word. They didn't really appreciate my level. They didn't appreciate my level in my religion. So they were like, yeah, we need you to be extremely modest. We need you to stop wearing makeup. You can't have any guy friends. We don't want you to work. We want you to stay home, this and this. And yeah, you gonna do that or not? And I'll be like, oh, no. So it was like, it was very exhausting. So for me at 24, just starting these apps and not really knowing to put my expectations out there, because I didn't really want to, I felt that putting my expectations out there would scare people. So I didn't want that to happen. I pretty much wanted to find somebody naturally who understood me and understood the place that I was in, pretty much. So I took a break from Minder, from Muzmatch, and I just needed to recollect myself, because again, it was just extremely emotionally exhausting for me to find somebody and then like somebody and then really put my heart and soul into somebody, but like realize that we don't have the same expectations. We don't have the same like ways of life, like the same kind of like ideas of life. So just a little bit about how I thought at the time and how I still think. I'm not somebody who is a traditional, I never valued traditional housewife roles. And again, that's just me. Like, I know a lot of people who are extremely happy being housewives, staying home, taking care of kids, cooking, cleaning, this and this, and I respect those women so much. But for me, I was never that type. I love teaching. I'm an English teacher for high school. I love teaching. I love traveling. Again, that was just me. So I also had to learn to communicate that I was the type of person to do all that. That's like what I wasn't gonna sacrifice that. I wasn't gonna work. I wasn't gonna go through college and the teaching program and student teaching and this and this just to give it all up. That's just something that I completely loved and wanted to continue to do even after marriage. So that was something I also had to communicate. And a lot of people either liked that or didn't like that. Again, it was all part of communicating expectations. So in my experience, as I've moved forward with trying to find somebody, I started to be more assertive with what I wanted. And that was the key to finding my husband today, was me being more assertive. So what I mean by that is, I told people from the very beginning of the conversation, I'm here for marriage. I'm not here to play around. I'm not here to date. I'm not here to talk, I mean, I'm here to talk and get to know you, but I'm not here to pretty much waste time and be in, like, you know, conventional dating situations. I'm not for that at all. Like, I wanna, if you want to get to know me more, we need to figure out what your expectations are for me as a wife, what my expectations are. We need to figure out how we can live, if we can live together peacefully. So pretty much, I would just be out there like, hey, how are you? My name is Sarah. What's your name? Okay, good. Okay, before we get into like any of the get to know you questions, let's talk about what your expectations are, because these are mine and I don't want to waste any more time with people who don't have the same kind of expectations. So yeah, I kind of like would be like, yeah, I want to get married around this time. Now the key is that I gave a timeline. And I always tell this to people. Oh, I always tell this to people who ask for my advice. And they be like, oh, how'd you get married? This and this. Like, what can I do? Give a timeline. Give a timeline. And it sounds scary. Like, to all of the people who are not Muslim, who are not Arab or brown, they be like, timeline. Okay, so this is what I did. I'd be like, yo, I do want to get married. I need you to come meet my family. And he didn't have to meet my entire family, but he had to at least meet my older brother. I'd be like, you need to at least meet my family in a month. In a month, I want you to come. I want you to talk to my brother, and yeah, just so that we know. So I know that you're serious. So yeah, timeline a month. Then you meet my whole family in, like, let's say 3 months. We get engaged, and then we get married within the year. That was my personal timeline. Again, you don't have to have that timeline. A lot of people say it's mad fast. I know we Muslims move fast. So even if you're not Muslim, what I always suggest to people who ask for my advice, who are looking for serious relationships, is to give a timeline. Now, again, your timeline might not be as quick as mine. You might want to wait like 2, 3, 4, 5 years of dating before you get to you know, talk about marriage. But I would still communicate my timeline to the person that you're talking to, because I see a lot of people in situations who are like, I've been talking to my boyfriend for 10 years and I really want him to settle down, but he doesn't wanna, like, he's too comfortable, or vice versa with the girlfriends. And I'd be like, bro, just say what you expect. Be assertive. Like, be assertive with what you want. Be assertive with what you expect, and say it from the very, very beginning, because that way they will know what they're getting into, pretty much. So yeah, I communicate my timeline, and either you respect it, either you have differences, or you don't. Now, the one thing that I learned the hard way was that even if you do kind of, if you say your timeline and the person is kind of like, I don't know about that, right? Maybe I'll work on it, right? And you take that maybe for a okay. Like, just know that it's very, very rare that maybe will be a yeah, let's do it. Because I took a maybe and I'm like, okay, so it's been a month. You gotta come and see my brother now. And they'd be like, I never said yeah, I said maybe. And you'd be like, okay. So just make sure that you know what you want, and the person that you're talking to also knows what he or she wants, because it's just, it gets messy. It gets messy, and your heart gets broken, and you start realizing that it's like what am I doing with you? And you're a cool person, but you're just not doing what I expect you to do. And trust me, I've had a lot of heartbreaks because I kept expecting for the person's expectations to change, and that's not something that I would suggest. Like, if somebody tells you like, no, that's too quick for me, don't be like, oh well, I could change his mind, right? Because that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. Now, my search for a religious husband, I didn't want somebody, and the thing is that, like, I'm not the most religious person. At the time, at 24, I was starting to kind of like fall back on my religion. I wasn't really being as religious as I could be. I used to be really, really religious, and then I kind of like fell off because of like I fell into depression, and like a lot of things happened in my life. But I knew that, like, I wanted to find somebody who was not overbearing in a religious perspective, but who would help me be on that road, help me kind of like build on my religion and help me become a better person in that respect. So I knew that's what I wanted in a spouse. So and I also knew that I wanted somebody who was able to look at me as somebody who was imperfect and help me kind of like, and not judge me for it, but like help me slowly better myself, not be like judgmental, or like somebody who was like, ew, like look at you, get yourself together. Like I wanted somebody who would hold my hand and build a foundation of understanding and knowledge and practice. So that's what I knew. And at 24, it wasn't the most prevalent thing, but as I got older, I knew it was something that was really, really important. And it was something that I was like, I need you to help me, and I need our home to be one that was built on the foundation of Islam. And I want us to grow together. I want us to be able to talk about the basic principles. I want us to be able to be consistent in our prayers. And like when we have a family, I want that to be important in our children and in what we do and in our practice and all that. So it was really important for me to find somebody like that. And that was one of the most difficult things of finding somebody on those apps, because everybody's levels are different. So you would meet people who are not religious at all. Then you would meet people who are extremely religious and are extremely rigid in what they expected, and they wanted it done now, right? You would meet people who are like, yeah, I want to grow too, but they weren't really like taking it as seriously as you were. And that was like the biggest thing that was difficult to find. So not only was it hard to find somebody who had the same timeline, but it was also hard to find somebody who was at your level of religion and who wanted the same kinds of things. So even if it was somebody who was not as religious as me, but wanted that, like really wanted that, I would give that person a chance, because it's like, I'm not that religious, but I do want it. Like that, it was something very important to me as I got older. And I'm like, yo, like let's grow together. Let's learn together. And yeah, that was difficult. So eventually at 27, I met my husband. And my husband, no, I'm just lying. My husband was he was the one actually to kind of like be assertive in what he wanted. And that was very rare in my experience, to find a man who was assertive with what he wanted. It was mainly me, and the guys kind of like went along with it or didn't, but my husband was the one that was like, listen, I'm looking for a Muslim wife. I'm looking for a wife who wants to grow in her deen and her religion. I'm looking for somebody who's this and that, and this is my timeline. I don't want to play games. I want to meet your family. I want to take these concrete steeps. Let me try this again. I'm looking for someone. I want to take these concrete steps with I'm looking for someone to take these concrete, oh my god. What the hell is going on? Whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. I'm not gonna try it again. But yeah, so when I first read it, I was like, what? Oh, this is like really refreshing. And like the first time I met my husband was the day that he came to my house to introduce himself to my family and to pretty much say his expectations, which at the time that never happened to me before. Never. Like I would always meet somebody with a friend, and like, you know, get to know them in that way. But I never had somebody who wanted to follow the sunnah or the basic practice of Islam in that respect. He's like, listen, I respect you. I don't want to put you in an awkward situation or an uncomfortable situation, but I want to do this the right way, the halal way. So he came to my house, and when I say this story, everyone's like, what? Like, this is mad weird. Y'all, you don't even know this guy. At the time, we were talking for about a month or two. I think a month and a half. At the time, we were talking for a month and a half. And then he was like, okay, like, I'm really vibing you. I really like you. Our morals relate. So I want to come and like actually have everything, you know, actually tell your parents and my intentions. So he came to my house, and he sat with my brothers and my father and my mother. He bought everybody gifts, which was like way unnecessary. He didn't have to do that, but he did. And he pretty much said, these are my intentions. I want to marry your daughter. I want to get engaged around this time. And also, like, he did tell me and my brother like how much he made, what he did for his job. He was very honest, very clear. And it was obvious that he was serious. And that was the most important thing for me, was that he was obvious that he was serious. So we talked privately, but also in the presence of my family. We talked and we vibed, and I was like, yo, this guy's really, really cool. And at the time, like, we had text before, and we were also really vibing through text. Like, it was really funny. He was funny. I'm funny. But he was like, I was like, okay, you could be cool on the phone, but how are you in person? Like, again, a lot of things matter, like your presence, like how you conduct yourself in the middle of people, in front of people, how you talk, how you look, right? Because, you know, a lot of people be catfishing. But yeah, so yeah, so he came, he set his expectations, and that was around like September. And then yeah, we decided to get married in January. So he would, like, after he made his intentions clear, he got a ring. We got engaged in, I think, December. And then he would come over though constantly and like hang out with my family and myself. So I would be seeing him a lot. But on January 3rd, we got married. And yeah, that's it. It was crazy. It was really crazy. Now, every time I tell this story, the people are like, what? Y'all got married way too quick. What if he's a serial killer? I still don't know 100% that he's not a serial killer. You never really know. I mean, people know each other for 10 years and more, and they find out that their husbands are serial killers and they're like psychos. So I can't say 100% that he's not a serial killer, but I can say that he's literally like my best friend. He gets along with all of my friends, with my family. We're cool. We got 2 baby kittens. Let me see my baby right there, Lulu. Yeah, so like really, like, to summarize the video, what I would say is, if you're looking for a serious relationship, whether you're Muslim, whether you're not, communicate your expectations. Make sure that you know what you want, and make sure that you follow through with it and talk about it. And don't be scared to talk about it. Don't think that you're gonna scare somebody off, because if you do scare somebody off with your expectations, that's not the person for you. I promise you, you will find somebody, you will find a serious relationship, you will find somebody who has the same expectations as you. It takes time. Like, it does take time. Some people, it doesn't take any time at all. Like, my husband was on Muzmatch for literally a month before he found me. I was on that site for 3 years, but I digress, right? Yeah, so it depends on the type of person that you are. It depends on your luck. It depends on your fate, right? You're eventually what's written for you will happen for you. So really give yourself some time, give yourself some space, give yourself some self-love, take a moment to step back, breathe, right? But be assertive about what you want. Be assertive about what you want, and don't give it up for anybody, okay? Don't think that you're not worth it. And that's it. Thank you guys for listening to me talk. I know this video is long. It was actually really fun to make. And yeah, time to eat, chill, watch some Netflix. Peace.